Hey folks, BlackCross here, and today I wanted to go ahead and talk about this record. It's been a couple of weeks now since the trailer actually launched itself, but I didn't want to talk about it just to analyze the trailer or anything like that. No, I wanted to talk about it because I had what you would call a surreal moment during that time period. So for those that don't know, the most recent trailer for Final Fantasy VII Remake had finally already launched itself. And according to that trailer, I hadn't really seen it, but judging by what I've seen on Twitter, there was two major things that was revealed. One of them was the fact that we got to see Cloud's cross-dressing scene outfit type thing. It's weird because out of all the things that people talk about wanting to actually be the demand to be left in the original, that was in the original rather, put into the remake, they wanted cross-dressing Cloud. And I'm just like, so let me see if I get this straight. The whole Sack experience saying Aeris' death, much less the nice all around summon, out of all the things you want to leave into the remake, cross-dressing Cloud was the biggest priority apparently. Yep, we're oh gosh almighty. But with that being said, it does look gorgeous, and I do actually kind of like the alteration that they have. I've seen some scenes that people showed off that was in the trailer, and I have to say, by what I've seen, I was actually kind of like, you know what, I like this change a little bit, you know? But I have to say, I actually kind of like how it looks, I'm not gonna lie, it's pretty interesting. But the other major thing that was shown off, which was something that I was waiting for, was that Red 13 got to be showed off. I am so happy that they finally just went on ahead and showed it off. I've been waiting to see him actually be in the advertisements, and by the time they showed him, I mean, we've seen a lot of Barrett, we've seen a lot of Cloud, obviously, Tifa and Aeris, and nothing wrong with that, you know, seeing them is just as important as any other character, but Red 13, considering how far into the game at that point would be, you know, it's nice to see Red 13 actually appear in Final Fantasy VII Remake, and he looks absolutely gorgeous. I love how he looks. But not only that, but they've also confirmed that they are releasing a plush version of him. For those that don't know, for the past couple of months, they've been releasing plush versions of different characters for Final Fantasy VII Remake. They've done one for Cloud, they've done one for Tifa, Aerith, and Sephiroth, and now they've done one for Red 13, and I am so happy that they've done that because I love the plush. And I love the fact that you can actually pose him however way you want to pose him, and it's cute the poses that they put him in, so I may end up having to get Red 13. Out of all the Final Fantasy characters, apparently Red 13 I want to get now, so don't be surprised if I all of a sudden just went out ahead and just pre-ordered it and got Red 13 plush. With that being said, I wanted to talk about something that happened to me during the moment that people was showing off the new trailer for Final Fantasy VII Remake. Keep in mind that technically it's been pushed back for April 10th. So needless to say, it's not literally within the next month. It'll be within the next 2 months from now, which isn't a bad thing because according to what they said, they're pushing it back for better development time and stuff, which is understandable. You know, anytime you want to make a game better and perfected, definitely give it the time that it desperately needs, and Final Fantasy VII Remake is definitely that game, you know, much like Kingdom Hearts, much like Final Fantasy 15 for that matter. Any game, if you feel like it needs to be pushed, give it that extra time that is needed in order to make the game better, you know, no need to rush it or anything like that. But something happened to me. Something I didn't think was going to happen to me at all, you know. If you haven't noticed, in the past couple of videos that I've talked about Final Fantasy VII Remake, I've always been kind of like neutral, or in some people's opinion, downplaying on Final Fantasy VII Remake. You know, I've been very judgmental on it. And to some people, it's no excuse, you know. I'm probably like the worst Final Fantasy VII fan. But really, I'm looking at it at a distant, followed by as a neutral fan of Final Fantasy VII. The original, mind you. So some of the decisions that they have done was confusing to me. Some of it was very unnormal for it being just a remake. Keep in mind, the way that they're taking this is like the biggest it is ever been, you know. Normal remakes never make this leap, you know. This is like from here to all the way to Mount Olympus. That's how far of a reach this is, you know. We're talking about the stairway to heaven type distance. This is kind of that far of a gap. And one can't help but think that maybe they were a little bit too passionate about this project. But at the same time, one can say that, you know, if they want to go this route, let them try and see what it looks like, you know. I've had several complications. The only good thing that I like about it is the gameplay, where it was turn-based and it's actually more action-oriented. Technically, it does have a turn-based form. It's just a little bit different compared to how a turn-based setup would look like. It's still action-y, and your characters are still dodging and doing their stuff, but you implement the commands of the attack, the magic, so on and so forth. So while it's not complete turn-based like I thought it was going to be, it's still turn-based enough to where people who want to stick to the turn-based formula might be able to enjoy it. I think I might give it a shot to see if I like it better versus the action-oriented, but chances are I'm going to like the action-oriented a little bit better. But then again, that's with any particular gameplay, you know. I've played as many turn-based games as I have played action-oriented, and despite how I feel, I still prefer the action-oriented when done right. There are some action RPG games that do it perfect, and then there are some that somewhat do it, but they kind of miss the crucial element that makes action RPGs that great. And Final Fantasy VII, when looking at the trailers and stuff, it makes me feel like it's doing right about action RPG perfectly, in my personal opinion. You know, for some people there may be like some small things here and there that it could have improved, but with all the stuff that they've shown off, this is clearly a passion project, and it is set to a higher standards than normal, admittedly so. But one of the biggest things that happened was that I had this realization, because keep in mind, for years, Square has been talking about possibly, maybe even thinking about doing a remake of Final Fantasy VII, you know. Since the very first moment the idea popped into people's mind was during a tech show when they were demonstrating the power and capability of the PlayStation 3. And sure to goodness, they could have shown off anything. They could have showed off any random thing. No, they went on ahead and showed the early portions of Final Fantasy VII and basically showcased the idea of what would happen if you put the old PlayStation 1 games into current hardware. How amazing could it look? How outstanding, how unbelievably mind-blowing could it look? And not only did it mind-blow every Final Fantasy VII fan out there, it also unlocked the possibilities of a possible remake for Final Fantasy VII. And for years, people wanted this, you know. Square never really confirmed anything, but people wanted this to actually happen. And the more and more people talk about it, the more Square was like on this teeter-totter event of like, maybe we might do it, maybe we might not, maybe we might do it if more people get more invested with other Final Fantasy games, maybe not, because not many people are getting invested into our games like we thought they would be. It was just continuously back and forth arguments, and none of it was really confirmed, really, when you think about it. You had some people who said, oh, well, I know a Square Enix member, or, hey, someone from E3 that was in Square Enix offices was saying that they might do something, so on and so forth. It was just an utter mess, really, what it was. And I was actually getting to a point to where I thought that Final Fantasy VII Remake was never going to happen. And it makes sense, considering the gap between then and before the E3 event for Final Fantasy VII Remake reveal. You know, it makes sense for why people would feel like as though as if it was never going to happen. You know, it's one of those things. And then sure enough, I think, if I'm not mistaken, it was 2014 when they actually made the confirmation that Final Fantasy VII Remake was actually in development. Whenever they finally showed off that trailer and showed off that it was finally going to be made, after all this time of waiting. And I don't know, when I saw it, yes, I was very hyped, I was very excited, but at the same time, rumors started to speculate. Rumors was growing and stuff, where people were saying it was going to become a multi-part series, and it was going to be action-oriented and stuff, and I was like, I didn't like the direction that they were going with, and I thought, this is a little weird. And even whenever I heard the phrase that this is going to have to be on multiple parts because the game would be way bigger for it to be put on a single Blu-ray disc, and I'm just looking at it, and I'm just like, you're full of it. There's no way you can tell me that you can make a decent Final Fantasy VII Remake and that it can't fit into a single Blu-ray disc. Keep in mind, the max that we've ever had in a single Blu-ray disc is like that, close to like 54 gigs of data. And that is a lot when you consider it, but to actually say the phrase that Final Fantasy VII Remake is bigger than 54 gigs, you have to try really hard to get that past my mind, because there ain't no way you can show that off. There's no way you can prove me wrong of how I feel like as though as if that's bullshit. But after looking at all the trailers that's been doing and how far it looks, really, in all honesty, depending on how it does, I can kind of see why they would have to have it on multiple Blu-rays, especially with this first part. If it is as big as people or the developers for themselves saying that it's going to be big, then I think it makes sense for why it would be on a 2 Blu-ray disc. I want to say, depending on how they do it, it kind of makes sense. It's a hard jump, and I've been looking into it. I've been trying to figure out how many games have actually had 2 Blu-ray discs within this generation alone. And it turns out, technically, there were a couple of PS4 games that needed a second Blu-ray disc. There's not many of them, but they do exist, and it shocks me. They didn't really say what titles they were, but I was surprised to know that there were actually a couple others aside from Final Fantasy VII Remake. And it still kind of blows my mind that we have actually reached the point of data beyond that of what we thought was considered a data reach problem, you know? I mean, think about it. Kingdom Hearts 3 was only like 35, 36 gigs, and it's not even reaching the max of the disc of Blu-rays, really. And yet, Final Fantasy VII Remake apparently is getting even bigger than that. So it's like, wow, what the flip? But then again, as the ages go on, it's going to take more and more data just to make something, you know? Like, for example, the Star Wars films. A normal film is like 1 to 2 gigs. A Star Wars film is easily 4 or 5, depending on the quality of the film. It's insane to think of how far we've gotten in terms of development, but the quality of what I'm seeing for Final Fantasy VII Remake, I can kind of now see, and it's just now affecting me. I can definitely see now why it would take 2 discs to pull off the first part. And depending on how this first part does, depends on how the future for Final Fantasy VII Remake is going to look. But to realize that it's finally happening, the fact that we're finally seeing proof that Final Fantasy VII Remake is actually being made, that is actually being here and released in people's hands, and we can actually play it and view reactions of it and stuff like that, it still blows my mind to know that we are actually here. It's not a fantasy. It's not an actual fantasized ideal. We are actually here in the moment right now. It still blows my mind. But whether or not if it's going to be better or worse than the original, that one has actually been put aside completely until the game is actually in my hands to where I can actually play with it, you know? Because it's like, it doesn't matter. What matters is that this is a completely different direction in what the original was, you know? It's a completely different direction. For some people, they may not like it, and for some, they may adore this change. But either way you look at it, you can't help but admire what has been put into our possession, what is being pushed out there. These people who came up with the ideal of the original, followed by a group of people, some of them being the same who did 7 originally, new people who are working into this project, continues onslaught of support. You cannot help but admire the amount of passion that's being put into Final Fantasy VII Remake right now. It is insane to believe that we are here right now in this moment. It's just, I don't know why, but it's just, yeah, it's hit me really hard, and I kind of like it. I like this feeling. I'm finally in with the hype. You know, am I still a little bit distant? Yeah, I am, obviously so, but I'm still hyped to play it, you know, and that's the most important thing, is that I'm hyped for this experience. I want to experience where they're going to go with Final Fantasy VII Remake series, and not just a game, but a series. You know, get through that in your head. You know, you're going to be experiencing a series of a new Final Fantasy VII entirely, and I can't wait to see it. I can't wait to see what new stuff they're going to add. I can't wait to experience the old stuff and reminisce, followed by feeling the new stuff that's been added into this, you know. Just take that in right now. Take that in before the game comes out and really feel it, you know. Really realize that we're here right now. We're actually seeing this actually happen. And I can't wait for the game to come out now. This is something that I was wondering why I wasn't feeling this, but now that it's finally hit me, I'm right here. I'm excited, you know. Bring it. But I wanted to talk about this because I felt like it's weird of how we're right here right now, you know, just right now. I'm saying this over and over again, I know, but really take it in, you know. Most of us have been waiting for this for a while, and we didn't think it was going to happen. And even when they never confirmed it, we had like suspicions and stuff, but really seeing all the trailers and stuff and seeing how amazing the characters look, you kind of can't help but feel excited for this, you know. We're finally here seeing where this is going. I can't wait. So let me know in the comments below, how are you feeling right now? Are you feeling the same feeling that you're feeling right now, regardless if the game is going to be great or not? How excited are you about Final Fantasy VII right now? Because I'm actually curious about this at this point. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video. This is BlackCross signing off. Catch you guys later.